When we think about hospice care, we usually picture this quiet, calm, peaceful environment. But I'm telling you, behind the scenes right now, it is anything but. The entire system is staring down a perfect storm of crises, with huge changes and serious threats all converging at the exact same time. So let's get into it and break down what is pushing this absolutely critical system right to the brink. And this isn't some far-off hypothetical. I mean, what happens when it all hits the fan in a single 24-hour window? That's the reality for providers and for patients, literally, today. We've got multiple major deadlines hitting all at once, and they threaten everything from how care is delivered to how it's even paid for. So how did we get to this point? All right, first up is a threat that's coming from outside the industry, but believe me, it has very real, very immediate consequences. A potential U.S. government shutdown isn't just a possibility anymore. It is a ticking clock, and that clock runs out today, September 30th. And what's really alarming here is just how fast this is all happening. Just last week, the risk was officially declared high. Today, government funding expires, and if a deal isn't reached, a partial shutdown kicks in tomorrow, October 1st. You can just imagine the kind of pressure this puts on a system that absolutely relies on that federal oversight and, of course, stable funding. And we're already seeing the first casualties of this. All those telehealth flexibilities that became an absolute lifeline for connecting with patients, especially remote ones? Well, they are set to expire today. With that shutdown looming, hospices are basically being told to brace for the immediate end of these services, which, as you can guess, is a huge blow to patient access right off the bat. So, as if an external crisis wasn't enough to deal with, the entire hospice industry is also facing this massive internal reboot. And we're not talking about something that's happening next year or even next month. It's happening tomorrow. So, to really get what this means, you have to look at the data. For years, hospices have used this tool called the Hospice Item Set, or HIS, to collect all their patient info. Starting tomorrow, that is getting completely thrown out and replaced by a brand new system called HOPE. This is a fundamental, ground-up change in how patients are evaluated and how the quality of care is measured. And here's the kicker, the timing. This isn't some slow, gradual rollout. It is a hard switch. It's happening overnight, at the exact same time that government might be shutting down. Providers have to get up to speed on this immediately and start following totally new timelines and data requirements. Like, right now. And hey, don't just take my word for it. The concern within the industry is, well, you can feel it. As this one report puts it, the transition could have a ripple effect on a hospice's financial health. And that's not just about dollars and cents. That directly threatens their ability to actually provide care to patients. This financial pressure is just constant, and the rules are incredibly complex. To really get a feel for the stakes here, let's look at a recent case that shows just how easily things can go wrong and how massive the numbers can get. $10.5 million. Just look at that number. Let it sink in for a second. So what does it represent? It's not a budget. It's not a grant. It's the total of one gigantic overpayment error. Okay, so here's the story. An audit discovered that over a couple of years, 174 hospices in Texas were overpaid by $10.5 million. And the reason why? It's almost unbelievable. The state simply didn't have the right procedures in place to calculate and collect these things called hospice cap overpayments. It was a procedural failure that led to this multi-million-dollar mistake, and it just perfectly highlights the razor-thin margins and the regulatory jungle these organizations have to navigate every single day. So on top of all these regulatory and financial tidal waves, the very nature of where patients even first connect with hospice care is also going through a huge transformation. It's shifting away from the settings we might traditionally think of and into a much more intense, fast-paced environment. Okay, so what in the world could this number possibly represent? 173%. It's not a budget increase. It's not some new rule. It's a massive, massive surge in a very specific kind of patient interaction. This chart tells the whole story. We're talking about a 173% increase in hospice and palliative care consultations that happen in emergency departments. Yeah, the ER. A place we associate with acute, life-saving emergencies is now more and more becoming one of the first places people are referred to end-of-life care. That is a profound shift in the patient journey. So you're faced with all these crises, right? A shutdown, a system reboot, financial nightmares, a totally changing care landscape. How is the industry responding? Well, they aren't just sitting back and taking it. They are actively getting together to try and figure out a path forward. I mean, just look at what's on the agenda for these upcoming conferences. In Texas, they are diving headfirst into the exact issues we've been talking about: billing, reimbursement, that new Hope tool. They're even looking ahead, talking about things like AI. The pros are coming together to share what they know and build strategies to get through this incredibly challenging time. So, at the end of the day, after you strip away all the regulatory deadlines, the financial risks, and the system changes, one thing is still at the center of all this: the mission to provide comfort and dignity. With the whole system on the brink, the real question isn't just about how hospices will survive. It's about how we can all make sure that what truly matters for patients and their families is protected through all this chaos.